important question I would like to ask is this: what percentage of what we have learned from the teacher, and what percentage of what we have learned from co-learners? That is the third important question, irrespective of what the classroom is, what the learning space is, whether, yeah, what percentage of what we have learned I've learned from the teacher, what percentage of what we have learned I've learned from the co-learners. So again, I can see the swing is huge towards co-learners in majority of the cases. Yeah, in some of the cases I can see from the teachers too. Okay. Okay, so these are the important questions. With those things, I would like to throw open the session for the panelists. I'm sorry, I've taken some time to establish the connect between the classroom and the classroom, what we all things we need to keep in mind in the new paradigm of the hybrid classrooms that we may see. Over to you, Dheeraj, can you take about 5 minutes? The sooner the better, but at least having taken 5 minutes could be, then we will take the questions perhaps. Some of the questions we will discuss that are emerging from here, then we will go to the panel. Over to you, Dheeraj.
Yeah, thank you, Srini. You have very rightly pointed out that the learning is not limited to just within the four walls of the classroom, but the environment, overall the world in which we live, that also is a wonderful teacher. So we observe and we learn, definitely. As far as today's key topic towards this corona-based things are concerned, yes, the coronavirus is almost unprecedented and has impacted every walk of our life. We are at that moment where we need to redefine every aspect of our personal and professional lives. Earlier, the basic necessities used to be called as roti, kapda, and makan, but now Wi-Fi has also been added to that. For the past 15 to 20 minutes, we had been struggling with some Wi-Fi, some technology-based issues, and that itself speaks for the importance of Wi-Fi technology, everything which we are facing. We all used to say and understand that change is the only constant in our lives. But this corona-induced change has come in our lives with such a huge intensity and caught us all off guard. However, the credit goes to the educator community for tackling this challenging change in a very spirited way. The schools and the teachers are trying to do more than their level best to ensure that the education for our children continues uninterrupted. One can imagine the hardships the teachers are facing to prepare and deliver the online classes from their homes without the necessary infrastructure. Their bedrooms have been converted into the classroom studios, and more so in tier 2 and 3 times where there is a lot of technology as well as a device crisis. The things are even more bad over there, but still they all are trying their level best. In the morning, delivering the lectures, afternoon, preparing the lectures, refining the lectures along with that. I was speaking to one of the principals of a school in Rewari, and he said the kind of efforts which my team is putting up, he was all in praise of that, that even the people who are teaching, let's say, English, Hindi, social science, who are in the age of 58 and all and had never used the technology, they are also now using technology, making lectures, trying to become studio, this thing, where to put up a mobile, how to record in between, the electricity going, all the challenges, but still they were all spirited that yes, we have to prepare our lectures and we have to do it for their students so that the learning goes. Although over here, I feel a little sad that their efforts have not been recognized the way it should have been, like the way we have recognized the efforts for our for the doctors, paramedics, police, and all the supporting staff. I believe our teaching community has done a lot more in terms of keeping this education alive, which is the cornerstone of any country. But I think that is the reason also that we say that teacher वो दिया है जो खुद जलकर दूसरों को रोशनी देता है. As far as this technology-based learning is concerned, so the short form of Corona, when we talk about Corona, we are having three phases we talk over there, that before Corona, during Corona, and post-Corona, after Corona or post-Corona. Post-Corona word we call as a PC. And the PC also stands for personal computer. So by this definition itself, we are going to have more computers, I mean more technology in coming times. We always have been in favor of using more tech for better teaching learning, similar to the way all other professionals are already doing. But the pace of adoption of online learning has been relatively slow, as the origin of online learning goes back to the 90s. But however, during this Corona-based forced technology adoption, right, the online learning now is being accepted, and its credibility is also getting established from being an aspirational learning of some infra-friendly schools to a need-based learning platform. I can also sense the urgency in schools to incorporate more and more technology in education, which will be good, but I'm sure that everyone understands that online learning is not just a teacher putting on a camera. Yes, we agree about the sudden forced circumstances which have almost caught us off guard and the lack of resources. But definitely after crossing this crucial phase, we need to focus towards better interactivity, more user engagement, more activity-based learning, and instant evaluation with critical analysis and insights. We also have to address the last mile issues in terms of technology, device, and even the space crisis within the homes, which are definitely highly crucial. Having worked in this field for the past 30 years, I know that our school leaders are quite dynamic, and most of them are already in their war rooms thinking about the best possible strategies for online learnings. The learning in the school is not imparted just within the four walls of a classroom, but it's an overall learning environment within the school. Same way, the schools have to work for creating an online learning environment. Just yesterday, I saw an online declamation contest being organized by a school in Delhi, and it was wonderful, and it was almost the same like we used to watch the declamation contest in the school. So they are adopting technology not just for the lectures, but they are doing for overall the learning activities. We will definitely have more such practices towards better learning environment. India is renowned for its education system, and our thought leaders in education sectors will definitely work out a good online working model with a structured approach. And like in schools, we have different sections with different teaching methodologies for different age groups. Similarly, we need to create different online teaching methodologies, as a single KG to PG method will not work for all the classes. The role of EdTech industry will also be highly crucial, and they have to collaborate with the schools to give them robust solutions. Since on the panel we have with us Mr. Mukesh, Mr. Ganesh, who are in the field of practically imparting education with technology, so I'm restricting my thoughts over there, and I will wish that we learn and hear more from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dheeraj ji. It will be a pleasure to have, because Ganesh has been, though computer science person, predominantly coming from for last quite a few years in the space of facilitating, administrating, and leading, establishing schools. I would like Ganesh to add introductory comment. Ganesh, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Srini, and good afternoon, one and all. I think the forum we have started, in the right spirit, and a lot of knowledge sharing is happening. As Srini said at the beginning, that it's becoming, the virtual classes and online classes becoming, the new normal, And when we thought when the lockdown started all over due to this COVID situation, we were kind of little confused, and we were thinking that how to go about. Some of the schools were thinking that should we declare summer vacation immediately, and what we should do. But then eventually what happened, people started this ideation started sharing thoughts and everything. People have started, and kind of the schools, they thought how to run. And I think most importantly, it is not that the technology was not there earlier. It is not that the virtual classes were not there earlier. Online classes were not happening. It's not like that. But why it has become so important right now? One is because there is a need. Because we all human beings, we are in such a situation right now that we have to accept certain things in a different way. We probably need to change ourselves, and we need to probably adopt technology as a main instrument. And this is what is happening, and this is how these virtual classes and everything started. I will keep my remarks with regard to the practical aspects of the virtual classes in school, and the challenges, scope, and what can be done, and where we are heading to. So as I said, it's a new normal, and the time has come that we need to embrace the blended learning. That's very, very important. And what we say that the integrated learning system, it's time to adopt technology to the maximum. But at the same time, we'll have to see that the way we need to figure out the scope of technology in education. That's very, very important. We need to know if the situation becomes normal. If we come out of the situation gradually, then what will be the role of technology? Is going to replace completely face-to-face or physical school education system, or it's something which is going to be a hybrid model, or some kind of technology is going to play a maximum role as 70-30, 60-40. What would be the ratio? That time will tell. But the thing is that here one thing is very sure, that there has to be a partnership. There has to be a partnership from educationists, school management, the parents. Everybody has to come forward, because the control, as Dheeraj was mentioning, that each and every house, teacher house, is a lecture room where teacher is delivering lecture, and each and every student's house room is a class now. So it has already gone out of the school classroom at the moment. What we can see very clearly, and the control is with the teacher, with the students, with the parents. So responsibility and the partnership has to happen properly. The parents, they need to be more disciplined in order to have this virtual classroom system. Students has to take, because the technology will have its positive as well as negative impact that we will have to monitor. And we need to see that the scope of these virtual classes, where we are heading to. One is, of course, is it that we are able to deliver only the core academics at the moment, or we are going to incorporate some schools, they have already a lot of activities also, whatever possible they have started. And I think based on the feedback and the kind of interaction I also do with people in education, in all community, I think the response is very good, and everybody is so excited about it, whether parents or students and teachers, and things are happening. We can see the results, and things are happening. In fact, not only activities, but I can see that the assessments and testing methodology and things, people have started thinking about it, and probably many more things will take place, and many more things will be incorporated if the virtual classroom in this situation prolong, and if it goes for some more time. Then of course, most importantly at this hour, that as Srini was also mentioning initially, the teacher's role and the creativity of teachers. We can see, you see a lot of things we discuss in different forum and platforms, but ultimately it's teacher. Hats off to the teacher. We salute those teachers those who are materializing it, those even without having so much of technology knowledge, because they never thought that technology is going to, take so much of space in their teaching completely. Earlier we used to say, yes, technology is a teaching aid, whether it is an interactive board or whatever, or some video capsules or audio or whatever, but and that has to be only 25%, and 75% should be face-to-face teaching has to happen. And this is what the system of a school education system was there for, for a long time. And yes, of course, we have seen a lot of experiments, a lot of testing, and a lot of in terms of curriculum delivery, in terms of methodology, different things we have seen, different changes we have seen, and we have also seen some, we experienced some terms like flipped classroom or blended learning, and these all gradually it was coming, but then there was a limitation. But now I think a situation is such that these things will take it further, and but at the same time, I think going forward there'll be a perfect blending of technology, and of course face-to-face class and physical classes will remain, and its importance will remain forever, because that's a human touch. This is, human beings, we all are social. We would like to interact, we would like to see each other. That's really important. In fact, that relation between teacher and students will never vanish physically that way, and emotionally also. So these are the things, most importantly we need to see. And apart from this, when I say scope of, the curriculum delivery, scope of...
I will come back. I will come back in the next round on specific things.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I now invite Father Charles to, having been at the forefront of leading or facilitating almost 35,000 odd schools through umbrellas and umbrellas of bodies. I'm sure, Father Charles, you have got a lot to say, the way the things have happened in the last 1.5 months and your experiences. Could you kindly share the initial thoughts, please? Father, your mic is off, I suppose. Father, we are not able to hear. Is it that I am not able to? Neha, are you able to hear?
No, sir, we can't hear him.
Could you?
I'll check with him, sir.
Father, Neha is going to help you. Kindly see your mic must be off. Kindly switch it on in your mic. At the lower bottom, you will see the mic insignia. Can you press on that? Or your computer or whatever. Is it there? Just see. While Father, while you're getting it right, maybe I will, may I ask, Father, I'm just going to request Subroto meanwhile to talk. Just kindly check if your mic on the laptop is an issue, or the device issue. Subroto.
Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry, I kept you waiting for
Good
long.
to be heard.
You come from the other side perspective, transitioning, while I picked up the school-centric, the learner-centric.
Computer array. Wait 1 minute.
We can hear Father now.
Yeah, Father, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Subrata, consciously I kept it you towards the end.
That's
can
fine.
we hear the Father, and then we'll come back to you.
Sure.
Father,
Can
now
you hear me?
online, kindly speak. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Srini, for this wonderful introduction, and wishes to all the co-panelists and to the participants as well. Okay. This COVID-19 has certainly given us an opportunity to rethink about our education system itself. And certainly this shift from the physical classroom to the digital classroom and virtual learning has given us many opportunities. The new classroom is all about now today interconnectedness, and we are still learning how to cope with this, to navigate, access boundaries and work in a globally collaborative way. Now, it has thrown in a lot of questions to us, though many hundreds of our schools are using e-learning and video conferencing and classrooms. Yet, we have to ask a few basic questions. What does this e-learning consist of? First of all, we do have a chance to explore and to navigate very many possibilities of learning. The interaction with the teachers has thrown in different possibilities. And today, the online assignments, or for that matter, enabling students to learn better. Adaptive learning is in a personalized way. And though there were many e-platforms earlier existing and which we were not paying much attention to, like for example, Shagun, Diksha, ePathshala, the Swayam online courses for teachers, Fozi. Now we are paying attention to all these things more and more. Google Classrooms, Microsoft Teams, eYantra, they're all now becoming very important to us. And we see how much of possibilities are there in learning in each of them. Now, this is also the classroom new paradigm has thrown in another question, that is to redefine the role of the educator. What type of a class teacher and what type of a teachers do we need? First of all, we need teachers who can be familiar with the technology, and they have to facilitate the young person to develop as not just a person who scores marks, but as someone who can contribute, contributing member to the society. Okay, the new paradigm also has thrown in new pedagogies. It is asking us to develop new pedagogies. For example, how do we accompany young people? In the physical classrooms, we were able to accompany. Today, we have to accompany them virtually. And what type of a mentorship we have? So this is another very important question that we need to find answer to, because unless these young people are accompanied, we will only be producing children with technology and with technical knowledge. But we need to build people of character. And how do we do that? That's also a very important question. And then we have to ask another important question, is the online classes and e-learning, are they limited only to the privileged ones? Now, majority of our schools are in the remote areas, rural areas, where the children do not have access to, or they cannot they can't afford this technology or for that matter connectivity, or even basic things like a laptop or computers or even mobile smartphones. So it throws in a very important question, whether it is a digital bridge or a digital divide, and what type of role the government as well as the management, schools and others have to play in enabling many more students to come into embracing this technology. So we need to find out the democratization of technology as well as democratization of education itself today in a different way. The governments have to come forward in order to enable more and more students to embrace technology, which means they have to make it affordable. They will have to bring in systems where more and more people can access this technology. So this is also very important. And unless we do that, it will be limited to the privileged few in India. And certainly the new, we are in the working with Generation Z. Generation Z is of people who have grown up or born in the globalized country, globalized world, and they have born with the technology. So we are talking to a generation who to use this technology, which is in which they are very versatile. but how do we cultivate them into being persons who can contribute to the society? So this is a question we have. And the education technology companies have to unlock technology to be accessible to everyone, not only to the few privileged. And we have to think beyond the syllabus in order to educate holistically. How do we give this holistic formation to all young people, students today? Can the education technology companies think about beyond classroom technology that can also help young people to grow up? So there are many other issues connected with classroom as a new paradigm. I have just thrown in a few as a remark for opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. It's a pleasure that you touched upon quite a few things in a very crisp manner. Now I have two more eminent people. I'll first go to Subrata ji, now that I've invited him. Subrata, could you kindly, I have Mukesh ji also waiting there, but he's a technology man inside school. So I'll come to him towards the end. That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. So kindly, Subrata, could you share some of the things that you have in mind to set little bit, add to whatever has been said. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope everybody's near and dear ones are safe. I can see you seem to be all safe and sound. Yes, the pandemic has thrown things out of gear. Things are not normal at the moment. I personally don't like the term new normal. I think that would be abnormal. I would like the world to be inoculated fully and be normal again. And the reason I say that simply is that what this making a virtue out of a necessity is that teachers have learned to engage with technology. They have been forced to do that because of the situation, as have many parents across the country. While they still, as Dheeraj said, while they still grapple with the availability of technology and access to technology, whether it's bandwidth or devices, we do have a situation where we expect that post-COVID, there will be a lot more engagement with technology. Whether it will take the classroom out of the physical boundaries, or whether it will be more of homeschooling, I seriously, personally doubt that. But any level of engagement with technology in this new world, in today's, I wouldn't say new world, 21st century, is important. Because when people move out of school into universities and jobs, they will have to engage with far more levels of technology than we have ever done in our own lifetimes. So it's a good thing in that sense. And it's also a good thing because teachers, we found not I wouldn't say a lack of interest. Teachers just didn't have the time, especially in a country like India with large classrooms. I have seen friends and many friends, teacher friends who really struggle with class tests, marking papers. They were really working, extremely hardworking people. And then to kind of then engage with technology and learn new things for them, they really don't have enough time to learn for themselves. So, and then of course, frequent syllabus changes, etc. Having said that, I think technology does play a large part in the modern world. In Western countries, a very large part of my career has been spent in the UK, as well as traveling around the globe for Pearson in my previous capacity. And I've seen the use of technology increase. It has been a gradual creep. It has not been sudden or it hasn't grown by leaps and bounds. Father just mentioned adaptive learning. My company, my previous employers were one of the earliest investors in adaptive learning. Things like that could really revolutionize self-learning more than teaching, really. And since I'm largely addressing a group of educationists and content providers, I think we are speaking from the other side of the table. And you know, I mean, one of the biggest things that is depriving students today because of the pandemic, it's not as if we've not had pandemics in the past. The Spanish flu pandemic in the early 1900s killed millions of people around the world, and the largest number of people that were killed were in India because of that pandemic. This one, because of the development of science and technology, rapid development of vaccines, is likely to be far less lethal than that one. In that sense, but at the same time, what it deprives people, especially young children, and I'm not talking of children at a far more advanced age, like in class 9, 10, 11, 12, or university. I'm talking of children in primary schools, in junior schools and secondary schools, lower secondary school or middle school, as we would like to call them. And no amount of helicopter parenting or online Zoom classes is going to replace the pastoral care that they receive from their teachers in the physical form. It's not going to replace the social skills that they learn in the playground. And we've got to think about that. So while it's exciting to have an additional tool to learn and teach from, it's always, I think the school is going to continue as it is. And then, given the current situation, think about it. How are we going to inoculate the children? All the inoculation programs of the world, the successful ones, like polio or BCG. BCG was in hospital because it's for infants. But pupils are the ones who have been targeted for polio drives and that kind of thing, and it has happened in the school. How many millions of children in India were vaccinated for polio in the school? So I think the school does play a very, very major part. Countries that are opening up, beginning to open up, the first entry, the first thing that should happen is probably the school, because children, although they're very efficient carriers of infections like the flu, they have been found, and this is scientific empirical data, although over a smaller sample, to be far less carriers, I mean, effective carriers of COVID-19. Two studies carried out in Iceland and Finland, I think, have shown that there was zero infections coming out from children. And therefore, that's something to keep in mind. And schools need to open up. Simple reason being, schools are the largest means of improving social mobility. We're talking largely of, Zoom classes and those kind of things. We're talking of a middle to upper class paradigm here. For the poor student, it's going to be devastating. This gap in schooling is going to be devastating. Imagine a child out of class for more than 6 months almost, not missing out on maths lessons, and by the time schools open up, would have forgotten much of what they have learned in the previous class, and they will be they'll be expected to learn new things. So it's important. Denmark, for example, is just about one of the first countries to start relaxing the lockdown situation. They have started opening up schools gradually. Aside from that, I mean, going back to the issue of the kind of technologies that we currently have, one is Zoom classes. The other is testing and practicing for tests and high stakes exams that Career Launcher themselves have been very successful in. The Delhi pilot is extremely important and impressive in its results. I'm not sure whether we still have the full results, but I would be very keen to understand the effectiveness and efficacy of those tests that they have conducted through the Delhi government. And it's also very interesting that they have the support of probably the most progressive education department in the country. And I wish Delhi government, the education department of the Delhi government was given the responsibility to train education departments in other states. Whether that's politically possible or not, that's something that remains to be seen. But it would be useful for all. I don't think anything of this scale has been carried out in India so far. And therefore, it would be very impressive to see that. Aside from that, I think in terms of online availability of material, this opportunity should give teachers to be able to kind of look at stuff online. There is plenty of online educational resources available for free. They should be able to recommend, I think they do already, but they should be able to recommend and guide students in engaging with those materials that are available online. And I think one of the participants in this asked a great question, which was, what's going to happen about testing and evaluation? And that's a big elephant in the room. While practice tests and stuff is available at a more senior level, at a junior level, that is definitely not something that may be carried out efficiently or effectively. So that's something that we would like to address, we should address as content providers. And finally, just before I finish, I think so far all the online material that has been produced in India has been of low quality or rather low technology, and it's kind of more of a something of a necessity that one needs to give because it has to be given away for free. Schools and parents have not been willing to pay for it, and therefore it's more of a promotional tool, or at best something that helps the teachers to propagate their lessons to their students. So I think hopefully this will raise the appreciation for that online material that is being provided, and schools will be more willing to kind of help content providers monetize their content, and therefore only then you will get continuous improvement in what is made available.
Thank you, Subroto. You touched upon quite a few interesting things, and especially as you said, the early primary school and middle school is one of the areas that technology has not much touched, because most of the times it is addressing the higher education much more, and the requirements of the early schooling till class 2 is one requirement, and class 3 and to class 7 is a different requirement, class 8 and beyond is a different requirement. So as we progress, if the new normal is embraced, and I think quite a lot of these things would evolve. May I now bring in Mukesh ji? Could you come as a person who has been embedded in the school system deep for 30 years, at the same time being at the forefront of enabling schools with technology, as an insider person and a catalyst? I would like to hear you about the current situation and the past, current, and the future. What is that you have in mind? Over to you, Mukesh. मुकेश जी आपका माइक बंद है.
First of all, I would like to thank Career Launcher for initiating a conference of this sort, where all of us are able to share our experiences and thoughts. And this is a time where the conferences will not be possible in the 5-star hotels or some big conference halls. Instead, we are going to meet like this only. So obviously, we have to change our way of initiating thoughts and passing on remarks. Like if we are sitting on a table, we have a different format followed, and here we are sitting miles away from each other, but still we are sharing the same kind of environment. So first of all, in last 35 to 40 days, a lot of things have changed, not only in India, but all over the world. The education system has taken almost full swing. Whatever I used to think about technology to be used in the schools 10 or 11 years back, and 90% of the tools existed. It is just that not in the polished form, but they existed, but we were not using it just because of lack of knowledge, or sometimes lack of time time investment in terms of learning those tools and training on those tools. People are not ready to accept these tools, because they thought that classroom teaching is going better, and what is the need of going to learn for these tools. Now, in last 35-40 days, what I have seen, even those who are very scared of technology, and beyond WhatsApp and phone calls, they never used technology at all. They also learned a lot of things, and they ask those questions for which I also have to just dig down in various kind of apps and find out different kind of answers for them. So this change has happened quite recently, and initially the challenge was how to reach to students, and now the challenge with the teacher is how to reach to them efficiently and effectively. So initial challenge was just to connect with them, and now the challenge is we are connected. Now we want to deliver exactly in the same manner as we used to deliver in the normal classroom. In the normal classroom, we had a style of our own. We used to enter in the class with our own way of entering, and then we used to greet them, and then we used to move to board, and we used to perform certain activities which were also part of the teaching and learning process. In the beginning, one question was asked: how much percentage of knowledge in the classroom, that means within four walls of the classroom, you retained till now in your life? Number of people have given this number as very low, because they thought that in those classes where the four walls were there, it was not only knowledge which was transferred from the teacher to students, but along with that, lot of other learning took place that no one realizes. It happened automatically. Many value system got established during that time when you were in those classrooms, and you learn to adjust with different type of peer group, because somebody was very soft spoken, somebody was very harsh, and somebody was all the time troubling you, and you learned over the years how to adjust with such kind of people. And that is how today you are able to work in different kind of environment, because you learned adjustments. Because in your class there may be a child who is coming from a family who has everything. Just with one call, everything can be arranged. And in the same class, there is a child who struggles for basic needs. In the school like ours, we have all kind of children. And you learn to adjust with all kind of students in the class. And the same happened when we were learning in the school also. At that time, we were having a different kind of people and different kind of teachers. Some teachers were very soft spoken, and some teachers were very angry all the time for no reason. And we learned to adjust with them, right? This adjustment is the society norm. Unless until you are able to adjust, you are not going to fit in the society. You will be thrown out of the society. So that is what we learned over the years. So it is not only the knowledge is transmitted in schools. There are a lot of things transmitted in the school. So if I recall my school days, number of things happened. It is different that I may or may not be remembering all those kind of concepts which were delivered by my teachers. But yes, number of things happened, and which has changed my life completely. So in last 30-35 days, what has happened is the teachers as well as students learned a new system, learnt a new system of behavioral system. Children have also realized that whatever they do in the digital world, nothing is going to be hidden because they will leave digital footprints. Initially, children used to think that I'll come with different name and I'll do this, I'll do that, and try to trouble the whole class and I'll become famous. But suddenly they realize that no, this is not possible. Whatever you do, either the teacher will catch me or the technology person will catch me, and she will be having or he will be having the full proof. And there'll be a full transcript with that person to prove me wrong. And that is how in last couple of days, all these things are fixing in these classes. So teachers were troubled because of these troublemakers, not only in Delhi, but I happened to talk to many people outside Delhi as well as outside India also. There also similar kind of problems were coming. Initially, they were writing anything and everything in the chat. They were talking to each other and they were troubling. And later on, they realized that it is going to be caught and there is no point of giving the teacher an opportunity to complain to parents, and this complaint is going to be along with the proof. So it is completely a new environment we are getting in right now. So in this particular time, instead of safeguarding the tools, we have to groom our children, because these are the children who are going to run our country, run the world economy in times to come. So they should realize today that they have to depend on these tools, and these tools have everything which is transparent in nature. So whatever they are doing, they are acting, they are behaving, it is going to be digitally recorded. Even if they will delete, these tools will keep a log of that, and it can be produced by anyone. So we have to make them cyber literate, along with teaching them maths, English, physics, chemistry, social sciences. We have to right now groom them to learn the way to behave in the cyber world. In non-cyber world, which we have been living in till now, there, if some mischief has been done, and we are not able to find any of the proof, they were left out with that, and benefit of doubt was given to the child. But here, this digital world will never leave them, because digital world will keep every single record on it. So at present, the teacher as well as student, both of them are in the learning mode, and this learning mode is of different kind. And here the teacher is struggling through various kind of tools, so that his own subject is going to be transferred to the children in the best possible manner. Now here the child is those children who are very, very scared of asking questions are also putting their questions in the chat, because there they feel that I'll write just one line, I'll not be that loudly noticed by the whole class. In normal classroom, I happen to see some children were never asking questions, but in online classroom, they are opening up, because they are not seen. They think that now casually I can leave this question. If the teacher sees that, she may or he may answer my question. This was not possible in the normal classroom, because in normal classroom, we were not asking, okay, just leave a chit on my table and I'll answer your question. We used to say that, okay, now you can ask question. And the child may not be having a very good communication skills. So half the time he is feeling or she is feeling, oh, if I'll ask question, everyone will know that I don't know how to speak. So that kind of thing is changing. And at the same time, I feel that teacher is also realizing that not only interacting and teaching is important, but connecting with children through these kind of tools is also important. Like in normal classroom, we were connected other ways. We used to talk to them, we used to find out what are the issues. So now the last 5-7 days, teachers are becoming more comfortable in the tool, and they are becoming the same kind of teachers who were in the classroom. Now they are not struggling with the technology. Most of the teachers have adopted these tools beautifully, and now they are coming back to their normal mode, and they are trying to teach the way they were teaching in the normal classroom. One more question which was raised several times about assessment. Let me tell you, there are plenty of tools available for self-assessment and for the knowledge of the teacher that this particular topic is known or not known, but there is no foolproof tool available right now, and it will not be available in future also, because you can control the device he is using during the examination system. You can't control his house or her house, because there may be a person sitting behind the laptop or behind the mobile camera who is helping him out, because all the questions which are appearing over there, they may be transferred to that person, and that person might be helping by prompting, by showing a paper, or by doing any kind of activities. So all those people who are having elder siblings at home, those who are having educated parents, they will get benefit out of online testing. So I don't think in future also there'll be any kind of tool which will control their house. You can control the device, you can freeze all the screens, you can freeze everything, all the devices, but you can't control the house. And that is why JEE and there are many other online tests required a center to conduct such kind of exams. If there would have been a system of this kind, IIT would have been the first picker for that kind of technology. So you can very well understand that no certification, and there are certifications available which are online certifications, and for that a team of 100 people set questions, and these are activity based questions, and it will not be possible for a normal teacher to make those kind of questions, which will require a lot of reading and lot of activities on screen. So that is possible, but obviously in school system we do not expect those kind of questions very soon to come in the current scenario. So you have to wait for the physical exams to happen in September, October, or November, whenever the school opens up. So with this, I close my opening remarks, and I'll come back to you when the moderator allows me to.
Thank you, Mukesh ji. Just on the humorous side that you said about the assessment, I can tell you one of the most difficult question papers to ever for anybody is the open book examination.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's happened with IIT or IIM or any of these places that I've been. The teachers, when they give open book examination and open timing, it used to so happen that you can take any number of hours to solve it. People are struggling to solve that paper. Perhaps there are some solutions that are coming up. In fact, I always keep thinking that, and soon it may happen, that entrance examinations will not be there. Exit examinations will be there. So anybody and everybody, you study from anywhere, whatever you can study, wherever, you pass the exit exam and you take a degree.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a great possibility that we may emerge pretty soon.
Yes.
So nowadays in India, it is a very strict thing that you take commerce and you cannot become a doctor. But who is stopping you from becoming a doctor? You study and you perhaps work with the local hospital for 5, 6, 7 years, and you clear the exit examination and you are a certified doctor.
Yeah. But these examinations require to be set with a panel of teachers, because these are going to be activity based exams which will not have the solutions available on Google.
Yes, that's sure. Okay, so there are quite a few things that have emerged in the whole process. I can see very interesting things that have emerged in terms of technology facilitated, how democratic it is. That is one. People at the lower end of at the bottom of the pyramid? Are they losing out? That is one question that has come about, because that's very, very, very important in the Indian context. Because when you look at the government schools are perhaps those which carry the maximum load. And even there, the people at the socio-economic barriers are there. So this is one very, very important question that we need to address. As such, go beyond boundaries. The another thing which Subrato spoke about was that, and that keeps coming in many discussions with many educationists, that, for example, I have a child who is in class 4, and she cannot sit for more than 10-15 minutes in the computer, as far as if it is education is concerned. Perhaps she'll watch a cartoon for an hour, but not education. So how do we look at address these requirements? And especially because first 14 years of life of a human being, the evolution is so important. When they move from the phases of Ananda and the Jigyasa, curiosity, and Sadhana, that's what we call. So that's first 14 years is very, very important. 14 years of formation of cognitive processes. Apart from that value system that Mukeshji spoke about in terms of being with people, that interpersonal skills among the 8 intelligences, that is the most impacted, that is interpersonal skills. Other 6, perhaps even sitting at home, a child can work, whether it is a mathematical, logical skill or linguistic skill or nature skill or kinesthetic skill. All those intelligences can happen perhaps alone, but the interpersonal skills that actually consolidates all is a very critical thing. And things like technology, no, it's a very interesting thing in terms of technology and classroom. A teacher may not be very personalized, but technology, on the contrary, can make everything very personalized. It can identify the strengths and weaknesses and help each individual, the personalized learning. So that is the other side of the story of technology. And as rightly said, for example, in our current project that we are doing with Delhi government, the technology enabled has got other strength in terms of anytime, any space. For example, a rickshaw puller has got only one mobile, one smartphone, and we notice that if live classes are attended by some percentage, within next 7-8 hours, that number is tripling. And when we interacting, we realize when father rickshaw puller sleeps, the child is taking the mobile and then looking at the recorded classes. So very, very interesting things. So that in democratization, when you spoke about, perhaps the technology enabled, as in some other way, it is democratizing the best of the teachers. One of the child said, I am getting classes by the best of the teachers from everywhere, because all schools may not have good teachers, may not have good resources, but this can perhaps transcend those things. So there are n number of things that are there. So is there any particular thing that anyone would like to pick up and throw? So for example, democratization, if that is one of the things that I'm looking at, is one, any of the panelists would like to share about some thoughts that how this democratization, because this is very, very important. If we cannot, instead of the bridging the gap, we cannot increase the gap. So this is very, very critical, one of the critical things. Anybody would like to share on democratization and how we could enable it in this context? Any of the panelists, kindly you could jump in. Subrata would like to address this?
Sure. Democratization, in the last decade or so, while I was in the UK, there was always a lament on, even on newspapers, politicians, the education ministers, who's probably Oxford or Cambridge educated, would lament on the grade inflation. There was a term called grade inflation, that everybody was getting higher marks. It also said that after you passing university even, students didn't seem to have the ability or skills that were required for the job market. And very eminent people have spoken about democratization of education, which means schools and universities are taking larger and larger cohorts of students every year, which means that it's no longer elitist. And therefore, students with working class backgrounds, where parents may not be as educated, are coming into the system, and therefore they get less help at home. And therefore, their ability levels or their skill levels in grappling with education is comparatively lower than that of students from more affluent student homes, where parents might be far better qualified in educational terms. They are the ones who are generally prod their children to do their homework or perform better in exams. And if they get stuck, the parents are there to help them. That doesn't happen in less educated, poorer families. So when we speak about democratization of education, it also obviously means that these students definitely need a lot more help. And any online means that can deliver that would be extremely useful. And that's what technology ought to be focusing on delivery.
Dheeraj, would you like to add something on this democracy? Coming, sir. Father, I'm just coming to you. I'm just asking Dheeraj. Dheeraj, would you like to add on this democratization?
This is India as dominantly a poor country. This is the biggest challenge which we face. And there has to be public and private participation. The government also has to work. And like we give some facilities, some duties, riders, and other things to the different classes for farmers, for agriculture, same way for education also, for these devices and all, some benefits they have to be given. Same way, I think not many companies in their CSR funding and all, they have to go to villages and provide technology and devices. On an individual level, we can also consider one, as one of the speakers in another webinar said, that we can consider as a device dan. We keep on upgrading our devices at so many levels, but still the devices are capable of being used over here. I was not using iPad in between, and during these times, I was using my iPad, which I purchased in 2011. So the devices, the older devices also can be used to a large extent. So we have plenty of things on a personal level, like we give our clothes, shoes, or so many valuables to others. Same way, we can also consider about that as well. But these are temporary solutions, minimal solutions. We have to think of a largistic approach over there. And I think Father would be able to elaborate something more on that, since they are working with 35,000 plus schools in rural and so many other parts of the countries.
Father, kindly please step in.
Thank you. This is the challenge that all of us are facing. So it is not just limited to any one of us. Democratization, what you call reflection about it. Both the government as well as Mr. Dheeraj said, I think we need a public PPP model in this. Both the private as well as the government have to step in order to make technology affordable and available. That is one thing. And the government has to help with either subsidizing or helping to give some type of scholarships and loans, even subsidies, not only in the like the UGC model to the universities, but also to the schools, in order to set up new technology laboratories or what do you call, skilling the teachers, professional development. So all these things simultaneously will have to happen. And also to enable every young person to either have access to a mobile or to something in order to have access to these classes, e-learning. If that doesn't happen, then we are talking about only limiting the whole technology progress for the privileged only. Another thing that I have in mind is, like, for example, the Dell technology has a report saying that 85% of the jobs in 2030 that this Z generation or the alpha generation we are talking about, millennial, will enter into have not been invented yet. Okay, so the 85% of the jobs in 2030 has not yet been invented yet, which means we are looking at possibilities of different subjects and even learning things. So this is what the government also can throw open, not just limit itself to a few subjects, a few types of learning, but enable much more, many more platforms, many more subjects to be learned. So this could be also a thought for a reflection.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ganesh, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. I was just wondering whether.
No, I'm there.
I'll just take 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and I'll give it to you because I would like to listen from you too and Mukeshji also. On the democratization front and reaching out to the device daan and so on and so forth that Dheeraj spoke about, it's in the last 4 weeks we have been working since 27 March. The Delhi government, one of the progressive governments in education, took the call on. It took them just a little more than a week to jump at our idea of facilitating school children in the government schools. And this project, it's amazing because due to paucity of time, I will not be able to talk in detail. For all those who wish to, kindly you will share the address. But it's amazing. And the Deputy Chief Minister, who is also the Education Minister, took stock of the progress of this project. So what is the project? It is about live classes for marginalized children who are studying in the government schools. And it is very, very great idea of the government to subsidize, actually pay the child 200 rupees for his net connectivity. So 200 rupees per month per child, thanks to nowadays where you have 499 rupees, 2 GB data for three months. I think it is a great blessing. And the students we discovered are doing wonders. So I will share that. Kindly have a look at that video there because it's too long a video. But to summarize that, I'll tell you, the students and the families towards the end of that video are saying to the teachers, because we spent about 1 week, we picked up, it is all about enabling capacity building of the education system. None of the teachers are by career launcher or any private enterprise. All teachers are government school teachers who have never ever touched any technology. In weeks' time, they were trained with intense facilitation, training, demo classes. Just 1 week, they took off. And today, after 3 weeks, when the Deputy Chief Minister and 2 of his colleagues, Director Education and the Advisor Education, they sat and evaluated, they were flabbergasted by the results. The teachers saying that what I did not do in 35 years, I have gained in just these 3 weeks. And amazing that the Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister asked the teacher, "Aap kitne logon ko padhate ho?" The teacher said, 43,000 people I taught this morning. But have you ever imagined 43,000 in a live class? They were all laughing. And she went on to add, teachers went on to add, "Sir, the engagement is far superior than what you used to do in the classroom." And those students who never ask inside the class keep on asking. It is amazing. And the kind of what we spoke about outside, inside the classroom, outside the classroom, and the teachers are bringing in film on Mohenjo-daro was shown, and the teacher, 40-minute film, she kept on using for the whole class, stopping the film, discussing that artifact, discussing. It's like Mohenjo-daro came alive to their 30,000 odd children watching. So it's amazing. Teachers saying that, and the children are saying, the best teachers of Delhi are coming to my home. This is the best I've ever had. And they're saying, kindly do not stop. School shuru ho jayega. Minister sir, aap isko band mat kariyega. Ye kamal ki cheez hai. And parents, so it is amazing how the democratization, because this can, as I said, this can tear down the time and space and everything. It can be amazing. So these are some of the experiences of last 3 to 4 weeks that I've been hands-on working in this space. It's amazing. So for those who wish to do this, I have just on the chat box, I have written this clef.in/school-education, school education. All those who wish to kindly have a look at it. May I go to Ganesh. Ganesh, could you add something about democratization? Because that is perhaps the most important thing of all the things that we looked at, apart from the teacher education, the democratization, because the reach has to happen, only then rest of things can happen. Over to you, Ganesh.
So I think, the government has to think it in a different way in order to bring, because there are a lot of challenges in terms of, as you said, the network connectivity and, to the rural areas and different government schools in different places. But the thing is that what we need to understand is that whatever resources we have, are we utilizing those resources fully? Now, this is the time I think people have started realizing that, with, some resources also you can do something, you can implement something. And this is how the teachers, we are saying that, teachers are doing a wonderful job right now. This is what they have done. So probably all of us will have to see with the government policy, we need to have a common approach, and so that the benefit goes to, each and every individual, all students, respective of, from private school or maybe government school. So everywhere these innovative ideas and resources, existing resources, plus of course the government has to think and the private sector has to come forward, and in collaboration they will have to see that what kind of new strategies and the policies we can make so that the benefit goes to each and every one. But we need to understand the way sometimes, if you see in government schools and all, the way they are using their resources, existing resources very well, we'll have to see that, that we need to take it further and utilize those resources to the maximum, so that at this situation, everybody gets the benefit. I'm sure the way governments in different places, like your Delhi example you have given, everywhere, people are coming forward from different sector, government and non-government, and they are, placing some kind of policies and strategies so that, the benefit goes to everyone. India having a different kind of a segment, government schools, challenges with the areas and location, network connectivity, devices and everything. There'll be challenges, and there'll be real challenges which we need to face and we need to kind of overcome. But at the same time, having said that, we have seen some kind of very good results in past 40 days, that where, even when the teachers were thinking that, how I'm going to conduct my class, but they can do it from their mobile. Then some of the teachers, I really hats off the teachers. So they have managed from their, neighbors and different people. They have conducted classes that way also. See, so this is what I'm saying, that with some good policies from the government side, of course, the benefit will go to each and every individual.
Thank you. I request all the participants to quickly, if you have any questions, kindly put it for the panel. Meanwhile, I have one last question looking ahead because we are short of time. Last question, looking into the future. This is quick 1 minute from each one of you. Looking into the future, how do you see it, and what do you think should be the action plan for the, if I go to school level, at the school level, and also the policy making at the the umbrella organizations, what are the two things that you would suggest for each one at the school level and the policy level? Quick minute for each one of you. Let me start with Mukeshji.
At school level, I think there should be some policies, just like in the movie theaters. You see that in the beginning, when we see a movie, we see some ads of no tobacco and no smoking kind of things. I think every school should make their own policy, digital policy, and before every single class, at least 2-3 minutes should be invested in making the children as well as teachers realize that these are important points to keep in mind. And at the same time, when there is a class happening, it should not look like a video to them. It should be an interactive classroom. So after every 3-4 slides, or after every 3-4 subtopics, there should be an interaction, and the interaction should be random in nature. So every time a different child should be called to answer or to discuss about the topic. So these are important from the school side. And as far as government policies are concerned, government should think about initiating certain devices or some common devices to be used by a large number of children of an area, where they can just take the device for some time and then return it back to be used by others. So these kind of two things I would like them to go for.
Thank you. Thank you. Father, do you have any thoughts on this front?
Just a thought or two. First of all, I think every school should do a survey to understand how many students have access to technology and how many do not have, and what can they do about it. Okay, so this will be sort of finding out how the mobile technology or something like that has a reach out, and how we can bring in access to everybody, access of the technology to everyone. Second is, this is also a silent revolution is happening in education. I think this is not, COVID-19 is not education interrupted time. I wouldn't like to look at it that way, but a time where there are a lot of opportunities are unearthed, okay? So this is a time to throw in new education technology, new education, even thinking system inside, where children can have option to many learning subjects. And tomorrow, as we understand, there are possibilities of different types of job market in the years to come. And we need to prepare this generation Z towards that, using technology as well as their creativity. And not to forget a type of a pedagogy where we will love to have, young people who can contribute to the society, not just bringing them as the educated robots, something like that, you know. People who are just selfish, but people who can contribute to the society. So we need to think holistically about these issues.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. It is so much more than just technology. May I request Subratoji to step in and share your thoughts, couple of things for the school and couple of things for the policy makers.
Thank you. I think one of the biggest takeaways from post-COVID will be that a lot more teachers and parents have grappled with technology, and therefore they understand the importance. And I'm hoping that there will be a lot more investment in infrastructure at both the home as well as parents. I mean, we were conducting video conferences for work, and that's when a lot of my colleagues probably discovered that they had completely inadequate bandwidth. And it's not expensive. In metros, at least, I have 100 Mbps bandwidth connection, which costs me 10,000 rupees a year. For an average person, that is working person in a white collar job, is highly affordable. And therefore, you know, stuff like that needs to be invested in. The content will come if people engage. And I think that's how the world ought to be benefiting. I mean, I've seen children abroad in Western democracies who are given technology. There is adequate technology, adequate bandwidth, adequate device ownership across homes, uninterrupted power supply, educated parents. And what is done mostly is that children are given assignments, look up this website, look up that YouTube video, and come back and discuss it. The common lament in the UK always has been amongst from Asian parents of Indian and Pakistan origin, has been that they don't teach colonialism in schools. My daughter went to university for the first time, and one of the early, so they do teach it at the university level to specialist courses, and she learned about colonialism for the first time. And one of the first assignments for our entire class was to watch Shashi Tharoor's video on YouTube and come back and discuss it in class. It was an extremely lively video, lively discussion, because many children for the first time, including my daughter, although I spoke about it, but she always thought that old man is always talking about India. But they learned it for the first time. And even the children of English parentage were absolutely agog that that is what their forefathers did around the world. And also how powerful it was delivered, how powerfully it was delivered by Shashi Tharoor at the Oxford Union lecture. So it is used, technology is used widely, but in very different ways. It's not to conduct classes, but to kind of aid education in a much larger fashion. So I think teachers would probably do a lot more research online and be able to give assignments and point students to the right pieces of information that they require to need to have to aid their knowledge going forward.
Ganesh, any quick remark on this before I move to Dheeraj?
So what I feel that, the role of government and the school, what they need to do is it's very, because the rules and the policies are still changing, and still schools are also waiting that what kind of guidelines the government is going to issue. But the most challenging and the most important task for school is to follow the guidelines and incorporate those suggestions in practically in schools, if the schools will be physically open, and face-to-face studies are going to happen in schools. So that will be, I think, a very important thing which the schools will look up to, and the governments also need to see that need to understand the mindset of the school community, teachers, the parents also, because it's very important nowadays. See, even if the lockdown opens and government says fine, you can start school even with 50% attendance or some kind of a hybrid model or some whatever. But then the question is, there are still some parents, they are hesitant. Even school opens, they are not ready to send their children completely to the school, and they are still looking for some kind of a virtual school or virtual kind of a setup. We will have some kind of percentage, these kind of parents. So we'll have to think, time to come, what kind of policies governments are giving, how schools are ready to incorporate those policies and those guidelines to implement, and to ensure that the children are safe while the physically face-to-face classes are happening in school. So I think this is what in together parents, teacher, government, and school management has to do together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh. I'll go to Dheeraj, and there's one question that has come up. Subrato, perhaps you will be the best person to answer. He talks about how to facilitate the primary school and preschool children in such a situation where that is the most growing phase of the interpersonal skills and value system. That is one question that is there. For you to answer, let me go to Dheeraj before I'll come back to you. Yeah, Dheeraj, could you share on this technology and what two things the school needs to do and what two things the policy?
When we talk about this corona crisis, one of the biggest virtue which we all have been talking about is that it has propelled the use of technology to a very big level. We don't consider technology nowadays as a luxury, but now everyone is understanding that it's a basic need to survive. But the biggest challenge which also comes over there is that it has also thrown in a lot of uncertainty. And whenever there is a lot of uncertainty, it reduces our vision. So the school leaders, they are all grappling with what kind of situation would be in coming times, for how long this corona crisis lasts, and if it comes again. Mr. Subrata was talking that many of the countries, when they are opening up post-corona, they are opening schools. But please remember that in India, we face a crisis. A little bit of rain and the schools are closed. Little bit of temperature goes up, the schools are closed. So the first thing the administration which does, anything happens, is that the schools are closed. So I think in such an environment, for schools to reopen fast would be a very big challenge. Let's be practical over there, and how the school leaders, they cope up with that, and how the governments, they provide that kind of facilitation, that would be a challenge. At the same time, the school managements having understood the importance of technology, the virtues of technology, they have to devote a lot of their time, money, investments towards, having a more of a learning environment. We have to move from an online learning to an online learning environment where a lot of other skills also, which we are able to impart them in the classrooms also, can be incorporated. On the government side, I really appreciate the kind of work which they have done for online learning in higher classes. NPTEL, Swayam, Diksha, and so many other platforms are over there. But at the same time, they need to now also take up this school part also, so that, as Father said, that this crisis technology and at the last mile, the democratic education being imparted to the last also, that also is taken up. Overall, it calls for a more public-private participation with the private schools as well with government schools. And that is how I think we need to evolve more. And talking to one of the points which Mr. Mukesh was talking about, online education, we see a lot of disruption already happening with technology like machine learning, artificial intelligence. Just yesterday, I have been approached by a company from USA for online learning, wherein they are using a lot of artificial intelligence, and wherein our eyeball movement also, they are catching up, so that if somebody is guiding them from the back, some other movement, some other screen and all, they are going to see that. So we also see that some disruptive things which ultimately brings constructive benefits to us, they also come over there. Overall, these are challenging times, and I'm sure that we have plenty of creative people who will rise to the opportunity and bring a lot more virtues to us in times to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. On that front of primary and middle school, Subrato, could you add, please?
Yeah, I kind of, I just speak from experience in my previous organization, who actually delivered some of the most popular junior school online material. And a lot of that was built around, because, at the primary level or even the middle school level, summative assessment is less important than ongoing assessment and on a regular basis, formative assessment to understand what the child is learning, what the pupil's learning. And therefore, at that level, we are less bothered about parents helping their students, their children. That would be just as a vanity kind of thing where, oh, my child is standing first in class. That doesn't help in the child's learning if the parent goes and helps the child. And therefore, a lot of gamification is done at that level. So children play education games where there is one simple one called Pop Tropica, where a child, very young children, 3-year-old, 4-year-old children can actually go and play the game. It's an online game, and therefore bandwidth is required, unfortunately, but they go and play, and they collect coins from all the members in a room. It's a large room, perhaps. That's how then they can go to the next room. So one person gives knowledge about a certain country, or llamas exist in Argentina or Peru, and the next one, where do you find llamas? That question comes up. It's part of it's a gamified assessment of a student's learning from the previous room, virtual room in the game. There are other multiple, many of them that have come up. Quite a lot of them in Eastern Europe and Scandinavia use a lot of that at primary and middle school level. And those are things that are not cheap to build. They are expensive. But the good thing is that they exist, and therefore it can be adapted easily and they can be brought in. But some degree of willingness to invest on part of schools and parents would be required. And hopefully that will happen now.
Yeah, indeed. I think COVID has given everyone, including people in the education space, an opportunity to rethink and reboot. Hopefully, this interregnum that everybody has got, though it is not an interregnum there. Everybody is working 3 times more from home to deliver the same thing. So there is no interregnum. Only the roads are empty. Yeah. So it's been a wonderful.
Empty roads and blue skies.
Yeah, empty roads and blue sky, and the all the wildlife coming back to the airports and the city centers to reclaim their land. I think it is a big statement they are making for all of us to think through. And I'm sure it's going to be a very different world. At least it would have forced at least those 10, 15, 20% of the conscience, people who are with social and environmental conscience. I think it would have forced many, many people to rethink. As you see, the TCS has already told that 75% of employees don't report to office for next 2 years. So it is going to redefine a lot of stuff, and certainly for education. It's a pleasure. We have exceeded time, and yeah, Earth is meant for coexistence. So everybody is demand for as Gandhiji said, kindly look for your need, don't look for your want, or some such statement he said. I'm not able to recall. Yeah, thank you very much. Is there anything that you would like to quickly say before we wind up? 1 or 2 sentences that you would like to say? Thank you, Father. Thank you, Subrato. Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you, Mukesh. Any quick one sentence or 2 that you would like to share before I pass it on to Neha? Thank you.
I'll say nothing is impossible. If you think, you can do it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mukesh. Father?
I think we need to keep our minds open, especially to the needs of the new generation. You know, we shouldn't be thinking about giving the old things again in a new form, but to think about what they would need, you know. So that is going to be a huge challenge for us to think in way of offering technology to them.
I think the COVID would have done a great deal of service that the older generation transcends in 45 days to a new generation.
It has shattered everything. It has shattered.
Yeah. Subrato, Dheeraj and Ganesh, could you share last sentence before we go?
I think the economies are going to take a huge hit, and a lot of pundits are saying that it's going to take a very long time to recover. I think it's time to prove them wrong, get on with new opportunities, new technologies, and you know, show the world that it's not really beaten.
Yeah, Dheeraj.
Yeah, every crisis offers us an opportunity, and I think we should dedicate our energies to finding those opportunities and come out in a very positive and victorious way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh.
I think, you know, we are, as a human being, you know, going forward, whatever new lifestyle or new challenges comes, I think we will be able to do it. And this is what has been proved in the last 40 days. I think a lot of more opportunities are going to come. And I think, you know, again, we'll be able to enjoy life, and, you know, everything will be normal, and it will become a normal for us.
So one more changing line would be...
Sorry.
Yeah, just wanted to add that now, as you said, that better would be more.
Dil mange more. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you all here.
Thank you very much.
Friends who are still there, participants, could you quickly on your chat box share how are you feeling at this end of session while I give it to Neha. Neha, over to you. Friends, all kindly on chat box, quickly share your feedback about the session, please. Thank you. Neha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Srini sir. A very good afternoon, formal good afternoon to everybody here. And I'd like to begin with giving my gratitude to all the eminent speakers today, Dheeraj sir, Subrato sir, Mukesh sir, Ganesh sir, and Father Charles. We are so indebted for your time and the beautiful thoughts that have come in today. Srini sir, thank you very much for moderating this so wonderfully. And I'm sorry because of all the confusion in the beginning, you know, I couldn't even formally introduce and hand over this to you. But thank you for holding the button always and taking it up so wonderfully. As the leader of the IQM Leadership Series, I would firstly like to apologize And please accept my apologies, because somebody must take ownership for the lag that happened today. We were supposed to start at 12, but due to the audio lag that happened, we got a little late. So this motivates me to bring to you another webinar very soon, which is going to be far more effective, and I hope and pray without any technology glitches. Yes, I think today's conversation has been a great reminder to the fact that we are all guests to this planet. The master still remains the nature, and it is going to be our duty to work together as the guest community and do our best that we can offer while we are here. Thank you, everybody. Srini sir, as usual, you've lived up to your being a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, a mentor, and an educationist. I'm your personal fan, and I must say this here before I, give this forum away. And it's I think my blessing to be able to work with you and to be a part of the IQM leadership team and career launcher. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the participants, for keenly interacting, putting in your queries. I have been taking a keen note of all the queries that are coming in, and also of the requests that have been made. And I promise to reach out to you soon with the solutions and the answers that are being asked for. A very, very good day ahead to each one of you, and a very warm thank you to the panel, to the moderator, and to the participants. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Subrata. Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Father.
very much.